So my name is Dan Bullard, and I'm a technician, a county technician with the Skagit Farm Service Agency. And I'm just going to do a quick high-level overview of establishing a farm record with us. We're sort of the record keepers for NRCS programs, or certain NRCS programs. And then we also do records and eligibility, obviously, for Farm Service Agency programs. So when you're going to be signing up for an NRCS program, usually the first step is to establish a farm record with us. And so we do that with a couple different forms. And I won't go into a lot of details on the forms. You can always just give us a call, and we have contact information at the end of this presentation. I'll just talk about what you might see when you get a registration packet and why you're seeing those forms, and a couple kind of problems that we often see when we're processing them. So the first form would be the 80-2047, and that's how you're going to provide us with customer data. We'll go into that one more later. And then I'm seeing our numbers are off, but the next one would be the 902, which is to provide us with your business information if you'll be registering as an entity or as an individual. And then we have two other eligibility requirements across, I would say, most programs, and that's the AGI certification, which is the CCC 941, and also the AD 1026 form, which is the highly erodible and wetland conservation certification form. So, and a quick note that all the information you provide to us is PII, personally identifiable information, and it is protected by privacy laws. And note, the public does reserve the right to use the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, to request certain data. So the first step, when you contact us, we'll need to know what parcel of land that you're wanting to establish a farm record for. And you'll either do that by giving us the parcel ID, the tax parcel ID, or the deed, a lease if it's land that you lease. You can also come into the office and point it out to us on a map, or you can send us GPS coordinates, and then we'll do a little research and find out in the assessors who the owners are, and we'll look at what the boundaries are, and we'll actually create a farm record in our system. And then each tax parcel is going to be assigned a unique tract number. So we'll look at that, we'll draw it out, and then we'll also create a farm number if one hasn't been created already. You guys. So that first form that you'll give to us, the 80-2047 customer data worksheet, that's where you're going to include, if you're registering as an individual, you'll only need to submit one form with your full name. We'll need a tax ID and an address. So your tax ID, if you're registering as an individual, will be a social. And it's also important to indicate citizenship. You'll see that in question 3C. And then there's other information, contact information, email address, home phone. And if you're registering your entity, you'll actually need to submit one of these for your entity and for each member. So if it was an entity that was owned by 2 members, you would need to submit 3 total forms, and make sure you submit the corresponding tax ID on each form. So for the entity, the EIN, employee identification number, and then each individual and their social. And then the next form go over is the AGI form. And here again, you'll need to submit one for each entity and one for each individual member with the right tax ID. And these are submitted to the IRS for verification. So it's important to be accurate the first time, because it can take a while to get the compliance back from the IRS. So you'll fill out the program year, and then you'll indicate whether the average adjusted gross income of the individual or legal entity is less than 900,000 or more than 900,000, which is just a requirement for a lot of programs that FSA and RCS does. So yeah, with all these forms, another common error we see is make sure they're all signed, titled, and dated. And you'll see in the appendix of this form, when we're looking at the average adjusted gross income, we're looking at an average of 3 years, and it's sort of 3 preceding years with 1 year in between. So we can help you with the fine print of that. If you give us a call, it can be a little tricky, but for most individuals and entities that we're dealing with, it's going to be less than 900,000. So not all. Okay, and then this is probably the form that is most tricky for folks to complete. It is, again, name a producer. If you're applying as an entity, you'll submit one for the entity with the tax ID and then one for each individual member. And then one of the tricky parts here is the affiliated persons, that question 4. And there's information in the appendix about that, but basically, if you're submitting one for the entity, the affiliated persons are going to be all the members of that entity. So you'll complete that in question 4. And then conversely, if you're filling it out for each individual member, the affiliated persons are going to be any corporations that those members have an ownership share. I think it's greater than 20%. It indicates it there's a table in the appendix. So you'll just want to pay attention to that. Again, we can help you with that. And then Part B, we're looking at highly erodible land compliance and wetland compliance. So this form is intended to sort of protect highly erodible land and wetlands. So with question 6, it's a little confusing because first you'll need to know whether the parcel that you're in question has a highly erodible land determination, and you can contact us and we can help you figure that out. And if a highly erodible land determination has not been made and you are producing an agricultural commodity on that parcel, then we'll need a highly erodible land determination. And one common thing that comes up is, we're talking about tilling of the soil. So a lot of annual crops. If everything is above the soil, we likely won't need a highly erodible land determination, but again, we can help you with that. So, and then question 7 is just talking about, again, in order to produce an agricultural commodity, any drainage activities existing, planned in the future or in the past, and you'll indicate years. We also ask you to submit a map if there's been something, drainage systems put in for agriculture in the past, just to show us. And that, again, answering yes on either of those questions will just trigger a wetland determination by NRCS or a HEL determination. We're not the experts on that, but we'll refer to them and they're the experts. So, and then Part C is just where if you've answered yes on 6 or 7, you'll need to put in the farm tract number if you have it. If not, you can just put the parcel number or contact us and we'll get a farm number created. And then activity, what you do on the land, crops, current land use, and the county. So this one it trips people up a lot, understandably so. But yeah, like I said, we're here to help you with it. Okay. That's okay. So yeah, I think I kind of went over that. Okay, 902 form. There's one form if you're registering as an individual and one form if you're registering as an entity. This is just to collect information about your operation, your contributions, land contributions. We can often complete this form for you just with a phone interview or an in-person interview. But I guess the main thing to keep in mind is everything has to equal 100%. So You'll give us your member shares if it's 50-50 ownership of the company. You'll talk about who does the contributions of land and capital and equipment, labor and management if you hire those. So just generally no right or wrong answers on this form, just collecting information. And you only need to submit one of these. So you don't need to submit, you're submitting for an entity, you don't need to submit one separate one for each individual. So in order for us to kind of efficiently assist you, it's good to have as much information together as possible when you're contacting us. Have the tax parcel ID, have a map ready to go. We could also pull maps for you if you need. If it's an LLC, it's good to have your LLC agreement ready to go. A lot of times we'll ask for that as supporting documentation and know how your business is organized, how ownership is divided, and who has signature authority is also important. And yeah, we ask for supporting documentation. We'll look at the Secretary of State to see how the company is registered as well. And the last thing is the 902 and 1026 are continuous forms. So we'll roll over that information year to year. If there are any changes, you'll need to contact us and we can work with you on those changes. But those forms are not annual certifications. So unless there's any changes, you don't need to fill them out year to year. Okay, and then here's our contact information here in the Skagit office, my email, and we have our phone number. So yeah, we're always here to help. You can call us, you can just come into the office. We're here 5 days a week and we're happy to help you. So I think that's about it.